Hi, everybody. I right now am super tired. I spent all day at the San Francisco Regional First Robotics Competition in San Francisco with our robotics team at Sonoma Academy, where I teach. So it was an exciting day, challenging day. I'm here at my lab right now, cleaning up because organization is good for the soul. But let's talk about last week, week 2. Great stuff. Thank you for those of you that have submitted your first assignment. I'm recording this on Saturday, so they're not due till tomorrow night around 11:59 p.m. A couple things about the assignment. One, if you want feedback, go ahead. I think Jacqueline did this. If you want feedback, go ahead and share them with me in Google Doc form, and I'll be happy to add some comments or just shoot me emails with questions. Anything's fine. In terms of the screenshots, I know Lynn had some questions about these. It doesn't matter. The screenshot quality does not matter to me. I can figure it out. The point of the screenshot is just so that I have evidence of you turning it in, and then you can add it to, or you doing the task, and then you can add it to your Google slideshow, download it as a PDF, and then submit it so you have it in your archive as work you've done. In terms of the discussion board, you saw that I get in there and try and reply at least once to everybody's initial post. I just like that. Really what I'm trying to do is add value and some personal perspective. So I'm rarely going to comment on or criticize, definitely not, but comment on what you've said, more trying to piggyback off it and give you some insight from my experience. I'm in the classroom and I'm learning a lot from all of you. So I'll often try and provide a link, draw you towards some other phenomena that might be related to what you talked about. And just a reminder, I'm going in to make sure that everyone has those in by midnight on Thursday and that you have your response to your colleagues by Sunday. So Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Fine. What do I have left on these notes I want to talk to you guys about over here? Here's what I want to make in the video. In terms of this week, super exciting. The instructor overview is going to go right here. You're really going to be talking about something that is an exciting topic, but also challenging, and that's universal design for learning, UDL. And you're going to be looking at this idea of accessibility to material, specifically for people that have various forms of disabilities. And this is something that is really, really dear to me. On a personal note, and I link these in the email announcement for the week, I've done a lot of work in the area of assistive technology. So this is in the area, for me specifically, of helping people with cerebral palsy interact with the computer. And I have my students design interactive computer controllers for them, and these articles that I linked will help you look at those. Now, while that does fit into this idea of universal design, because anybody could use these controllers, they're actually probably a lot easier, but they really are good for people with cerebral palsy. That relates more to the face-to-face learning environment. This idea of e-learning is really a call to action. It's very easy just to think about pushing through content, kind of like what we're doing here, pushing through these modules. But one of the articles among these 3 readings, the 10 simple steps towards universal design for online courses, I want to draw your attention to, and I think it's really nice. And it talks about these things that we can do when we develop online learning environments. Specifically, your assignment for this week is to repeat your Canvas course in the Edmodo learning management system. So I challenge you to really take these things into consideration. Okay, it talks about including a statement where you talk about the access flexibility in your site, consistent navigation, about choosing the tools that you use carefully and consistently, that you model good discussion board etiquette by providing titles and clarity there. Use color with care, right? Consistency is key here. Consistency is always captain. Readable text, and it goes on to talk about 10 things. Now, these things make a lot of sense, and they're universal because they make a lot of sense for everybody. But I did link in the announcement some research in the area, and I'm sure you've heard of this, cognitive load theory. Now, cognitive load theory has to do with how we as human beings take in information. We have two channels to take in that information. We can take it in through our eyes, or we can take it in through our ears. And how we manage those channels really relates to how efficiently and how user-friendly or how efficiently that information makes its way into our working memory so that we can assimilate it and turn it into long-term memory. So this idea of cognitive load theory is really key when we're designing classroom lectures. But Rich Mayer out of Santa Barbara talks about multimedia learning cognitive load theory. So how can we really design multimedia learning environments, okay, to pay attention to these ideas of these tenets of cognitive load theory? So that is when I'm making an online video specifically, or I'm making an online learning module, how can I pay attention to the fact that the learners have these two channels, these eyes and these ears to take in information? And I don't want to flood those channels, and I don't want to overuse those channels. So I give you this research to look at optionally, because I feel while it doesn't take into account all types of flexible learning environments and all learning differences, specifically people who might be lacking a channel, I think it's very tangential and related to what we're learning now. So I challenge you to look at the 9 ways to reduce cognitive load in multimedia learning and see if you see any overlaps between that and these 10 steps towards universal design for online courses. I think it's just a nice little activity and curiosity, and hopefully it'll expose you to some more research that you might not know. Okay. So that's really related to the readings for this week. In terms of your assignment, really for this week, there's just a discussion where you're going to talk about universal design for learning and then start exploring the Edmodo learning management system. Okay. And I talked about in the email, I think you're going to notice that the Edmodo system really, from my experience, takes this approach of trying to have a similar aesthetic as something like Facebook or other social media avenues where there is a central page where you can post things, and really trying to feed off this cognitive structure that we already have around interacting online. Versus Canvas, and I think with Haiku you see that they look very different than what we see with traditional social media platforms. So I think some of you are really going to like Edmodo for that, and I think some of you might struggle with it because of that. So I'm really interested to read next Sunday in your checkpoint, what was it like exploring this stuff? So just a reminder about due dates. Again, your first post is going to be due by Thursday, 11:59, and that is March 22nd. And your response to 2 of your colleagues, which have been awesome so far, has been March 25th. By all means, jump in as much as you want. You can go ahead and consider me a colleague, and you can respond to something that I might put in a discussion board. And your checkpoint, again, is due on Sunday. Jump ahead if you like and continue on with the Edmodo assignment if it works for you. So I'm having a really good time. Please let me know if something I'm doing is not working for you. And I know that I'm kind of a stickler for due dates, but I think the more we stay consistent across the board with everything, the better for everybody.